Ardolino, the founder of CBD Dog Health, at an event in Chicago. And I was completely just mesmerized by the product, took home bottles from that event, started using them with my own pets, fell in love with the product, got the products in the store. We've been selling it like crazy. A lot of you who've been our customers for a while, you've used the product, you know how good it is. I got a chance to see her speak the second time this past weekend and learned even more about CBD. I am super excited to let you guys know that we now have their mushroom products, and she's going to tell you a little bit about the mushroom products today as well. They also just released Extra Strength Calm and Extra Strength Ease, and she may tell you a little bit about those in her presentation as well. But I have enjoyed listening to her speak. I have learned so much from her, and Dan and I are Dr. Dan. Everybody loves Dr. Dan. Let's give a hand. For letting us use his space. But we are just super excited to be able to have her here to share information with you guys. So let's welcome Miss Angela Ardolino.
Gosh, that event seems like 10 years ago.
I know.
It was amazing.
So much has happened since then.
It has, and I don't know what I would have done if I didn't have CBD to help me. But hi, I'm Angela Ardolino. Those of you who don't know who I am a medical cannabis expert, advocate, clinician, and very regular user of the medicine. And I found it myself in 2015. I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, and at that time I lived a pretty natural lifestyle, and I didn't want to take the prescription medication that they prescribed to me, which had already been linked to lymphoma. I don't want lymphoma. Do you guys want lymphoma? No. I don't want my dog to have lymphoma. I don't want anybody to have lymphoma. So I started to look for the all-natural medicine I could take that would help with the inflammation, moderate my immune system, because of course my immune system was overreacting and needed to be modulated or sometime calmed down. And I found cannabis. And I took it in a tincture form, in an oil under my tongue. And not only did all of my pain go away, but my mood, my anxiety levels, my stress levels went down, my OCD calmed the hell down. I was like, is this what normal people feel like? So I wanted to know more. At the time, I had a magazine. It was a regional publication. It was all about living a healthy lifestyle for your family. I always reported on pets. I have a rescue farm, where I take in a lot of farm animals and old dogs that nobody wants. And I wanted to know more about why we don't know about this. So I started reporting on moms. They were a group of moms called the Cannabis, who were literally treating their children's seizures, cancer, autoimmune diseases, all with cannabis. Not even hemp. I'm talking THC, I'm talking cannabis, hemp, marijuana. I mean, not hemp, but marijuana. So I got involved with them. I'd report one story after another. This is before it was legal in my state, so I was just trying to educate as many people as I possibly could. I had a good friend of mine whose child had Daise syndrome, that they have horrible seizures. And this child would be there having a conversation with you. He was in a wheelchair and then just go into a seizure. And I mean, I'm ready to go call 911, and the mom would just open up her purse, take out a tincture bottle, just like mine, open it up, take up the dropper, lift his lip, put it on his gums, and he would go within 20 seconds from having the scariest seizure to sitting up and then going back into a conversation with me. I just was like, how is this being ignored? So I sold my magazine and threw myself in the cannabis industry. I had no idea where I would end up. I hired like the best consultant. I traveled everywhere around him, learned how to choose seeds, grow it, cultivate it, everything. I was a huge advocate. I've been all over the world with this wonderful plant. And in 2016, I was invited by the University of Vermont School of Medicine to attend their inaugural class for the study of cannabis for its medical uses, therapeutic uses, biology. That's where I learned about the endocannabinoid system and that animals have an endocannabinoid system. I already had my rescue farm. I had already have 2 groom shops. So I was like, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna concentrate on dogs and animals. So I did. First thing I did, go to the next cannabis conference, go find a pet product. I can't find a pet product. If I find a pet product, it's a human product that they've just changed the label, slapped a paw print on it, and it had flavoring, bacon flavoring, cheese flavoring, xylitol. Oh. So, I love this audience. Because that's what I sounded like at these conferences. I was the crazy, dog lady going, you need to take this off your table. You're going to kill dogs, not help them. Because all these, you have to understand, every pet industry, business industry, vet industry piece of media was going, CBD, the next billion-dollar industry. So every bad player just signed up, how do I get it? And literally there's like one person making the same shitty product. And people are just buying it en masse and putting their label on it and selling it. So all we had to hear when we first started was, it doesn't work. My dog got sick. My dog got liver's levels went up, whatever it was. And I'm like, what? No, that's not what I learned in school. That's not supposed to happen. And we had to learn what the bad guys were doing. They were using isolates. They were using broad spectrum products. They were using God knows what. Hemp seed oil, there wasn't even any CBD in most of the products. Amazon, you're not allowed to sell CBD. So the majority of products on there are God knows what. Because they don't, yeah, hemp seed oil. If you're lucky that it's hemp seed oil and not just some sort of oil from the grocery store or whatever they could pour into little bottles and sell, because nobody's making sure of it. So anyway, that's when I'm like, okay, I guess I've got to formulate my own. And I knew how to because I had the education from the University of Vermont, and I found a wonderful chemist. And through my rescue and my groom shops, where my groom shops on a Friday and Saturday, I would see 70 dogs. Oh, goodness. And 85% of those dogs walking through the door, and you guys tell me if you see, well, you probably do, but Leslie, tell me if you see the same thing, which is 85% of those dogs are suffering.
Yes.
Skin issues, pain, and I couldn't believe it. So literally I took from what my rescues were suffering from, the dogs were suffering from, and created a line of products to help them. And it's been the same line of products from the very beginning, because I really paid attention. I'm like, okay, need something for those crumbly noses, and those rough paw pads, and those old man knees and elbows. Need something for those hot spots, and the bug bites, and the allergies. Need something for those aches and pains and tumors and lumps and bumps. I knew how cannabis worked because I learned it at the University of Vermont. I learned that dogs in each layer of skin have both CB1 and CB2 receptors. So if I do have a lump or bump and I put a topical on, it's gonna get rid of it. And then if I do internal and external, I'm gonna get rid of it faster. So these are the types of things that I knew that I guess nobody else knew, because they were just getting into the industry to make money and not to actually help animals or people. So this amazing endocannabinoid system is what I want to tell you guys all about, because every animal has it. You all have it, lizards have it, birds have it. I have used it on every animal you could possibly imagine except a fish, because I don't know how I would get it into the fish. But it works and it's amazing. I want to just show this little timeline real quick, because I want to show you that it's been used in traditional Chinese medicine for thousands and thousands of years, but hasn't really been concentrating on this amazing system since 1988, when they discovered the very first receptor, the CB1 receptor, in a rat's brain. They gave this rat THC, and a receptor was reacting to it, which made them go, That means there must be something that the body creates that reacts to this receptor. So then we get to 1992 when they discover the first endocannabinoid, anandamide, which an endocannabinoid is what our endocannabinoid system produces and reacts to those receptors that they found in the rat's brain. But if you have a deficiency in this endocannabinoid system, there happens to be a plant, and they make a phytocannabinoid, and it perfectly binds to those receptors in this system. How about that? Who here believes in feeding your dog a biologically appropriate diet? Raise your hand. So why aren't we giving our pets biologically appropriate medicine? It's called zoopharmacognosy. It's how animals in the wild go find their medicine when they're sick. They go find the hemp seeds, the cannabis flowers, the lavender flowers, the mushrooms, and they treat themselves when they have a bellyache. Who's experienced their own animal going and eating some random weed or weed in the yard, or herb in the yard? Raise your hand. And you're like, what are you doing? What is that? They know. So I just like to say that because it makes sense. If you understand how to feed your dog the right way, let's start treating them when they get sick the right way. Because what's happening is that these drugs are causing more harm than good. They're destroying the gut microbiome, which is where the immune system lives. The liver is processing the synthetic drug instead of detoxifying and rescuing the body. So I think it's really important. In 1993, they found the second CB2 receptor. I believe that was in a dog's gut microbiome, in the gut lining. So I thought that was really cool, and I wanted to share that information. So if people don't believe that the dog has the endocannabinoid system, that's where they literally found the CB2 receptor. 1995, they found the second endocannabinoid, 2-AG. I'm going to skip all of this, very sciencey and a lot. It's just amazing discoveries that basically show that these receptors are all over our bodies. There are more receptors. So pharmaceutical drugs target G-couple receptors, and there's a lot of them, but there's not nearly as many of receptors as the endocannabinoid system has. They should be dealing with those, but plants deal with those a lot better than these synthetic drugs. So they don't target these. But we're going to skip all the way down to 2013, where they discovered so many receptors in the gut microbiome that they are now have changed the name from the endocannabinoid system to the endocannabinoid because they've incorporated the gut microbiome. So those of you who are learning probably a lot about how important this gut microbiome is for ourselves and our pets. It is part of the endocannabinoid system. All right, so what is this incredible endocannabinoid system that I'm talking about? Well, it is the master system in our body. It is in charge of all of the other systems. So if they are off, it is its responsibility for fixing it and producing more endocannabinoids and bringing us back to homeostasis. We have main receptors, or the CB1 and CB2 receptors that I mentioned earlier. They're throughout the brain, the spinal cord, all over the body. Dogs, especially, have already been researched and proven to have 10 times more receptors than we do. So that's why a full spectrum hemp extract is so perfect for our dogs. They don't need as much as we do. We need a lot more because we don't have as many receptors they do. So hemp is such a beautiful thing, and that's why you can use so little or a dropper and get such wonderful results from it. Receptors all throughout the brain. Controls everything from mood, pain sensation. It's amazing. They're everywhere. This is a complicated slide that basically just shows you how phytocannabinoids are replacing the jobs of endocannabinoids when they lack. Meaning, if an endocannabinoid isn't there to do the job, this phytocannabinoid, you take it and it will do its job for you. That's how freaking cool it is. It literally is a system in our body that responds to these plants. How can you deny it? It's like Mother Nature at its best. Mushrooms are more closer to humans than plants. What? Why is that? Because we should be eating these things every single day, and we should be extracting those incredible medicinal properties and also taking those. I'll talk more about that later. We also are discovering more cannabinoids. They're taking all of these receptors that they're finding in this fatty lipid, like how they transmit communication through all the cells, all of that they're including into the endocannabinoids. So one of them you may recognize that you're hearing a lot about is PEA. Who's heard of that? That's just one of them. We also have SEA, OEA, LEA, 2LG, 2PG, 2OG. All these are endocannabinoids that they're continuously discovering inside of our body. And we can find ways, if we're not producing enough PEA, we can now find natural ways to supplement it. But the same thing's going to happen. Let's find the natural source, not create a synthetic of it. Sometimes things are very hard to get at a natural source, so sometimes you have to go synthetic. I don't like to ever go synthetic. Every pharmaceutical drug is based on something found in nature. So I always go to nature first and see if I can find it from there first. And then if it's not powerful enough, all I have to do is add other adaptogens. Does anybody know what you guys know what adaptogens are? So adaptogens are a group of plants, mushrooms, sometimes dirt, that when we take them, they literally adapt to our body's stressors and fix them. And when you put, I'll show a piece of research, when you put like 3 or 4 of them together, they become even more powerful and synergistic. So instead of my soul dog, Odie, who I just lost in March, at the very end, he was having a lot of neurological, like it looked like Parkinson's. He was just having like electric, jerks. And THC definitely helped stop him, but it also knocked him out. So instead, I would take our Heal product, which is a full spectrum hemp extract, which the strains I use in them are great for seizures, so that's why I chose that one. And then I added other adaptogens that were helpful for the brain. And that did the same thing without making him so high and sleepy. So that's what I love about them, is that you really can change them up, mix them around. You're never going to overdo it. They're all natural. And these other plants and adaptogens interact with this endocannabinoid system. So why do I know so much about these mushrooms? Because they're interacting with the same system that cannabis is interacting with. So it makes sense. Totally makes sense. So I keep saying marijuana and hemp and probably confusing the heck out of you. For those of you who don't know, I'm going to do a little explanation for you. Everything is the cannabis plant. The main compounds, the main phytocannabinoids in the plant are CBD and THC. Those are the major ones. If that cannabis plant has more THC, it therefore has less CBD and is known as marijuana. If that plant has more CBD, it therefore has less THC and is known as hemp. Does that make sense? Oh, good. Problem with that is that the United States government came up with those definitions, and those aren't the real definitions. So we all have to live with them, and everybody's confused, and nobody knows the difference, and it's really confusing. So dogs, like I said, do really good over here on the hemp side, where there's 0.03% THC in the product, just enough to make it a full spectrum hemp extract, but probably isn't going to make your dog high. Unless they drink the whole bottle, they might get a little high. A little high or high.
They were very happy.
Looks like
Really happy. It caused no problems.
it's called static ataxia, and they get a little wobbly. but I can tell you that they're very happy and very comfortable, and you don't have to worry about it. We used to have a video of Billy Hoekman's Lua dog getting high. It was very happy. So this is what works great for pets. Us humans, we're going to want a little bit more THC because we don't have those receptors, and for a lot of pain, cancer, those types of things, we're going to want larger amounts of THC. So us humans, Nina, who I'll talk about a little bit later, who had osteosarcoma, I gave her 10 milligrams of THC every single day, every single night of her life when she had osteosarcoma. And she didn't die. It saved her life and kept her pain-free. So let's talk about this magical flower. See the next year. We just enhanced yours, so your slideshow is different than the one that was just shown.
What?
That's right.
Slide.
Carter listens. He'll listen to me do this so many times, so it's great. He goes, okay, this is what we're going to do next time. We're going to change this, you're going to change that. Because I knew that 2 of 114 that have been discovered, and it's not 114. Carter looked it up for us, and it's now 139 that they have discovered. Now remember, it's been restricted and prohibited, so nobody was allowed to research this amazing plant. Most research is coming from Italy and Israel are the leaders. Spain, everybody's doing it now, not us. So every day this number changes because also in the United States, they were only growing one strain for however long at the University of Mississippi, when there's thousands and thousands of strains, just like there's thousands and thousands of species of mushrooms. So nobody can ever say to me, I tried marijuana once, and oh my God, never again. That was one strain.
Who said that? I mean,
But if you have tried marijuana, whether medically or you went to a state where it was recreational and you got a product and you took it and you were like, oh my God, guess what you can do? You can take CBD. CBD dampens the side effects of THC, which is the high feeling. So, unless you have large amounts of it, you're probably going to get a little bit of static ataxia. But Nina, for instance, by, let's see, I would say 6 months, couldn't even tell she was high anymore. And she was getting 10 milligrams on her gums. And I would give her the CBD with it. The first couple days, first couple nights that I gave it to her, she peed the bed, which is a side effect of THC. So I gave her the CBD with it. She never peed the bed again. It was awesome. It's like, oh, that's something I learned. I applied it. It does it. It's amazing. So 139 cannabinoids, and then all of these other amazing compounds exist in this flower. The cannabis plant, kind of like the lavender plant and a lot of these wonderful, like the mushrooms, all of the medicinal properties live in that flower of the plant or mushroom. That's where they need to be extracted from. In the cannabis industry, what usually happens, they go to the hemp plant, chop off the flower, dry the flower, take the rest of the plant, and it goes to pet products, broad spectrum products, other shit. That's not where all the good medicine lives. There may be some good stuff in those leaves, like the leaves and the smoothie. You know, they're not terrible, but they do not have those medicinal properties. It's the essential oil of the cannabis plant. It's that medicine. Who uses essential oils? It's the same thing. You're just using the cannabis flower's essential oil out of the flower. So you can see it has terpenes. So those of you that use essential oils probably know a lot about terpenes. Cannabis is the queen of them. There's a lot of plants that share, even now they've discovered some of the same compounds as cannabis. But cannabis is queen. No other plant has more medicinal properties than cannabis has. And then I believe it's passion flower, echinacea, and then a whole bunch of others do stuff. But that doesn't include fungi, because fungi aren't plants. So anyway, as you can see, all of the good stuff lives in the flowers. That's where you always want to make sure it's extracted from. So what is full spectrum? I keep talking about full spectrum. What it really is, it's just all that good stuff out of the flower. You extract it, we use supercritical CO2, which is a gas. It doesn't heat it. It doesn't make it cold. It doesn't damage any of those magical properties. This is what they do for human medicine. That is cannabis medicine, so that's what we do. And when you do that, you get a lot of these amazing cannabinoids together. It's called the entourage effect. You're getting everything out of that flower that's supposed to do together, and when they get in the body, they all work together to do what they're supposed to. For instance, if you were to use a broad spectrum product, does anybody know what that broad spectrum product is? A broad spectrum product is a product that they've tried to remove the THC because they want to perpetuate the fear of THC. Also, if you wanted to release a hemp product before the Farm Bill was legal, you just released a broad spectrum product. Broad spectrum products don't work. Everything I'm talking about up here today that it does, it's not a broad spectrum product or an isolate, which an isolate is when you see a product that says 99% CBD. That means they've isolated just CBD. They've either had a synthetic version or they've just isolated it out of the plant and bottled it. Not talking about that either. That has already been proven to raise liver levels, cause all kinds of issues. So if you have a vet or anybody who's ever said, oh, CBD is bad for the liver, they're talking about an isolate. They're not talking about a full spectrum hemp extract, which what it really is a full spectrum hemp extract with naturally occurring cannabinoids, including CBD and THC. Meaning don't mess with it. Don't try to take anything else out. Don't over-process it. Just like over-processing food. Don't over-process this wonderful medicine. You don't have to. CBD, for instance, this is my favorite little fact. CBD doesn't even bind to either the CB1 or the CB2 receptor on its own. It has to have THC. THC has to bind to the CB2 receptor first, then CBD can bind to it. So I have no idea why there's broad spectrum products all over the market. So if you've got a friend or know somebody who's like, yeah, I've tried it, just I don't see anything, nothing's happening, I can guarantee you 9 times, right? How many times have you ever not been able to go, it's broad spectrum, it's an isolate, that's why it's not working.
Yeah, I got it from 7-Eleven. I don't know why.
Should have went behind the 7-Eleven and got their stuff.
Yeah, the truck stop.
Don't buy it on Amazon. Don't buy it at the gas station. Buy it at Woof Life or from your vet. Either one. So broad spectrum product are those that, what's really funny is that they've just taken enough of it out. They can't take all the THC out. So they've just taken out enough so it doesn't show up on a lab report. So that's what's silly is they're going, oh, because THC is dangerous and toxic, it will kill your dog. It's still in there, just not coming up on a lab report. And then CBD is it by itself. So you want to stay away from both of those things. And I'll show you how you can figure that out with a product. But these cannabinoids, those 139 that we've all found on their own, and you can't really read this because it's microscopic, but they all on their own have already been found and researched to do incredible things on their own. I mean, not on their own, with all of the other cannabinoids, meaning an entourage effect. Same thing, you can't take CBG by itself and think you're going to get the same thing as when you take it in a full spectrum hemp extract. But everything from their incredible antioxidants, great for anxiety, CBG I know is great for seizure activity, THCV, there's 139. Be here all night talking about how wonderful they are. Same thing with the terpenes. A lot of things, those of you who are great with essential oils, those wonderful terpenes that have all those medicinal properties. They share a lot of them with these wonderful plants. So like limonene, that you find in rosemary and lavender and lemons, so does cannabis has those too. So these wonderful compounds live in these other medicinal plants. They're actually calling them now cannamimetics. I think I said that right. It's basically plants that are mimicking what cannabis does. So what you're hearing me say today, like 5-10 years, everybody's gonna be talking about it. You're gonna say, oh yeah, I remember that crazy cannabis lady said something about this. And we've got wonderful research already showing how amazing CBD and CBDA, which are just two, CBDA is actually the birth mother of CBD and THC. Both of those have already been proven to be incredible analgesia. Also, PEA on its own, incredible for analgesia, for any pain. Combine them together, we now have incredible pain relief when you combine them together. And it's just basically what you're doing is taking outside phytocannabinoids and putting them in your body and combining it. And they're doing amazing things for pain. So that's why this incredible system and why we can make all of these claims is because this incredible system is responsible for everything, how everything operates. So everything from, brain health, cancer, which I'm going to tell you how well it works for cancer, anything. Allergies, intestines, bones. Research already shows that's amazing for canine inflammatory response, amazing for osteoarthritis, the analgesia. They both contain omega-3s and 6s. THC is amazing for chronic pain. Nobody should be in pain, no animal or human. I also think every animal and human who is a senior citizen should be on a full spectrum hemp extract every single day. It will help keep the pain away. So I want to talk about cancer because not only have I been able to put cancer in remission a couple times here with very old, sick dogs, but they're all getting it. I'm pretty sure that statistic is already gone. When Nina was diagnosed with osteosarcoma, it was like 1 in 5 large breed dogs is getting this terrible, painful, aggressive cancer. And when Nina was diagnosed, these were my choices, which kind of pissed me off. We're not even told about the holistic, what we could do holistically. We're told we've got to remove that tumor and amputate. Radiation, chemotherapy, $5,000 to $20,000, and my dog's still going to be dead in 4 to 6 months. The other thing that I thought was really interesting was that every time I would talk about cannabis and what I knew, people would always go, yeah, what about the research? Well, there is a ton of research. And guess what? Anytime they wanted to research, guess who they researched on? Animals. So we have tons of research about what cannabis can do. And I decided, you know what, nobody asked, do any of you, when you're offered chemotherapy and radiation, you go, what does the research say? Well, I looked up the research, and I thought I'd share with you what I found. If you amputate the leg, you get an extra 60 to 120 days, and you're out $2,500 to $10,000 if you do that limb sparing. This is for osteosarcoma. If you do amputation and chemotherapy, you get an extra 300 days with your dog, and it's between $4,000 and $20,000. If you do amputation, chemotherapy, and radiation, you get 320 days, which is 5,000 to 30,000 days. Sounds okay, right? Who's here's had a dog that has had to go through chemotherapy? Good. It's awful. I actually found a piece of research saying that it was inhumane because they can't tell you, I really don't feel good, or I'm feeling this, or whatever it is. I took that piece of research out because I didn't want anyone to feel bad about their choices. I lost my first dog at 7 years old because I did everything wrong. That's why I'm standing here today. She was a miniature schnauzer. I had a brand new state-of-the-art facility open up across the street from her. I did everything they told me to. I fed that Purina Pro plan. I took her in for her vaccinations every year. Did the flea, and I did it all. Dead at 7 years old. Then I spent $15,000 is when I stopped counting. I had no business spending that much money. Got an autopsy, and all they found was IVD.
What?
Yep. So I've come a long way. My second schnauzer, Odie, my soul dog, 16 and a half years, so more than doubled his lifespan. I think I learned a few things. And what's hilarious is that through his lifetime, he was diagnosed with degenerative myelopathy, collapsing trachea. What else? And every time I just would be like, I can either believe the diagnosis, but I do not have to believe the prognosis. I can do something different. My dog doesn't have to suffer. I don't have to throw a prescription med. How do I change this diet? What can I do naturally? And that's kind of like what led me down the path. Immunotherapy, which basically is encouraging your own immune system to fight off the cancer, which is what exactly hemp does, or what adaptogens do. It pisses me off so much. What was amazing is that who is into research and reads it? Does anybody ever read it? Well, they basically do a little abstract at the top that tells you what they found. If you go all the way to the bottom, you can read what really happened and went on. This was based on 12 dogs, started 72 dogs and based on 12 dogs that were still alive at the end. They don't bother telling you that most of the dogs died from this chemotherapy radiation. 12 of them out of 72. It's ridiculous. So what I did with Nina is that Nina I did not immediately amputate because Dr. PJ Broadfoot was probably one of the doctors that helped me the most through this. It was she said this to me and it made so much sense. She's like, Angie, your dog's got cancer. Her immune system is fighting that cancer, helping to keep it under control. We're giving her hemp. We're giving her mushrooms. We're giving her a diet that does not feed the cancer, just feeds her. And when you amputate the leg, she's got to go under anesthesia, be knocked out, wrecks the gut. And when she comes out, she doesn't have a leg. Her immune system is dealing with that leg, and it gives cancer an opportunity to spread. And that's exactly what happened. She died 4 months after her leg was amputated. But I didn't amputate her leg until she's 22 months. So I got 850 days with my dog. And she ran and chased bunnies and lived her life and ate her raw meals and had the best life until the last week, seriously. At 22 months, when I took her to get the amputation, and the reason I did, I might be skipping ahead. I'm going to skip ahead. It's in the slides. We'll get back to Nina. Bear with me. I also wanted to let you guys know oncology and veterinary space is new. And in another year or so, it's going to be an $80 billion industry. It is not going to get better. They're not going to be offering you more choices. They're operating under something called a standard of care. Your dog has this cancer, this is what we throw at it. Not your dog is this breed, this age, this is where the cancer is, maybe we can do this instead. There's a lot of less individuality and more throwing at it drugs. So I just wanted to mention that part. So the difference between chemotherapy and cannabis. Side effects of chemotherapy. Often chemotherapy drugs interact with one of cancer's signaling pathways when cancer has 12 signaling pathways, which I'll get to in a moment. It also destroys your gut microbiome. It also destroys your healthy cells, damages your immune system. You feel like shit, you have no appetite, you don't even want to live. Your dog feels that too. Cannabis has already been proven to interact with 8 of the 12 pathways of cancer, either by blocking or downgrading them, sometimes activating something to help them, which I'll show you what that is. Side effects are the little static ataxia that may happen, which is just them high, the urinary incontinence, but they have increased appetite, increased energy, and good mood. So let's talk about the pathways. That's right, and you also don't care if you're dying. So these pathways, this is a review of clinical research showing what cannabis and how cannabis interacts with these 12 signaling pathways. It is awesome. And when I had such luck putting cancer in remission, and with Nina, I knew I needed to understand what I did and how to explain it to y'all. So here, I'm gonna try. I don't think you can see that. Actually, can we like turn off some of the lights so maybe you can see it better? But anyway, these I want you to consider like one pathway. These red stops are them blocking some sort of action, and these blue arrows are a downgrading of some sort of action. Just this column is showing you what the cannabinoids do to stop the growth and the dividing of the cancer cells. This middle one is showing you what the actions of the cannabinoids are doing to cause apoptosis, which is cell death. Once they kill those nasty cells, the next thing they do is they remove them. Autophagy. They actually remove the dead cancer cells from your body, or your pet's body. The next is what I found so amazing, because at 22 months, when I amputated Nina's leg, the doctor that I took her to did 8 diagnostic tests before she did the amputation to kind of show where the cancer was, what it was doing. It never left her leg. And that's how they die. Cancer spreads from wherever the tumor is to the lungs. They're dead in 4 to 6 months. Her lungs, which I'll show you, not even a, this might be something, nothing. She had a live blood culture thing where she would look and show you which cells had the cancer. None of them. She just was like, this is amazing. I have several holistic and integrative vets on my board of advisors for CBD Dog Health. I actually hid my name and Nina's name and took those 8 diagnostic tests and sent it to them and said, what do you think's wrong with this dog? She looks low in magnesium, vitamin D, but other than that, she looks really healthy. This is Nina at 22 months of having osteosarcoma. It was amazing. I had several vets involved, both on my board of advisors, lived around me. They would either be very intrigued or fell off. Didn't believe it. Must not be osteosarcoma. She'd still be dead if it was that. So you'll see I had to go ahead and send that leg to pathology to get the osteosarcoma diagnosis confirmed so that I could then show them and go, yes, this is what cannabis and adaptogens and a ketogenic diet can do. So that is stopping the spread. This is when a cell goes rogue, it goes and looks for another bad cell and another one, and they get together and they form a tumor. And then they shoot out a blood supply to your veins so they can feed themselves. THC literally comes along and breaks that blood supply so that they can't feed it. So it prevents the cells from turning into cancer cells. And then what I just said, sorry, skipped ahead, actually stops the growth of those blood cells so the tumor cannot feed itself. This is the action of the cannabinoids in those pathways. And this is what it does for your immune system. A lot of the same things. So for instance, if it needs to block a T cell response, it'll do that. If it needs to activate it or respond to something, it'll do that. It literally is modulating your immune system to do whatever it needs to fight this cancer. And it wins. So, quality of life is amazing. It stimulates their appetite, provides pain relief, and puts them in a really good mood. Dog, cat does not know they have cancer. I'll skip that one. So, that's why I like to just say no to drugs and yes to plants and fungi. Talk a little bit about medicinal mushrooms. Mushrooms are fantastic because they also interact with this endocannabinoid system. They also interact with other systems in our body. And what's cool about mushrooms is that they are both a functional food, meaning you can cook and eat them and they do amazing things. And you can extract, just like you do from the flower of hemp, you can extract the medicinal properties out of the fruiting body of the mushroom. And they do incredible things. So when I was treating Nina, I researched which mushrooms I could get safely that were grown the right way, and there were about 8 to 10 of them. And I would be putting them in her food and they would create mud, and I'm like, why can't I just have a tincture that I could put in her food that would just have all of the extract in one thing. So I found someone who made a human product that was incredible, and I worked with him for 2 years, and that's how I created my 3 tonics. I also created them for what my dogs were suffering with at my farm. So my dogs at my farm, the cancer that I could put into remission, I would lose my dogs to Alzheimer's, to dementia, canine cognitive disorder. Has anybody experienced a dog with this?
I might be.
Nobody talks about it.
Yeah.
I didn't. I realized I wasn't the only person getting up in the middle of the night to deal with the dog looking for the water or to go pee or just wander around the room or whatever. You don't have to do that. I created products that stop that so that you could sleep. And guess what? They need to sleep. When you sleep, that's when you do all your healing and detoxification. If they're not getting a good night's sleep, they're not healing. That's not happening. So give them their heal. Knock them out at night. Let them get that good night's sleep. And then give them that clarity. I don't know if you guys know this, but dementia, the way dementia kills you is that you literally forget how to eat and drink. So I watched, these 17, 18-year-old dogs who beat cancer go up to their food bowl or water bowl and just stand there. And it wasn't until my partner said, that's what happened to my dad. He forgot how to swallow. I was like, what? Looked it up. I'm like, why isn't anybody talking about this? And what is there out there for them, for these dogs? Nothing. You just have to give them mushrooms and hemp. And it'll be awesome. And you'll be able to, their geriatric years are going to be so much better. One of my rescues, Daise, when I got her, she had dementia, but I didn't know it. And she was a disaster. She was on like 8 different prescription medications, creams, shampoos. She had no hair on her feet. She was a 6-pound Chihuahua having grand mal seizures. So I immediately started treating those with Heal and found her dose and completely stopped them. All her hair grew back. And then all of a sudden, this dog who would just kind of stand, stare at the wall or get lost in a corner is now looking up at me. Well, it never happened. I'd pick her up, she'd look right at me, start giving me kisses. I'm like, hi, and that's like her brain coming back alive. It's the inflammation going away. Like how many dogs, I had a dog one time who a Frenchie, who hadn't used her back legs for 4 years. And it's this famous actor that we met. And we gave him a bottle and he's like, I'll try it. He gave her for a full dropper of Heal, and then he said he just went upstairs to like work in his office and turned around and she was standing next to him. She'd gone up the stairs and walked for the first time in 4 years after 1 dose. Understand, when there's inflammation, we have blocked the communication. So when the brain goes, get up and walk, it's not getting the message. The moment that inflammation goes down and they go, get up and walk, they get up and walk. It's wobbly, it's messed up, it's weak, but they do it because now the communication is going to the back legs. It's that simple. This is what I'm best at, is explaining it in terms and walking like this. But what this is showing you is kind of the same thing I showed you with cannabis, that it's interacting with those pathways. So what my point is here is that between medicinal mushrooms and hemp and cannabis and these other adaptogenic herbs like green tea, ashwagandha, astragalus root, bacopa monnieri, you give your dog this, you are interacting with all 12 pathways of cancer. And you really can make a difference. You can really send depending on how early you get it, cancer into remission and or just keep it from not getting any worse. So keep that in mind. And it's the same thing that goes for both humans and dogs. So, some cool things about mushrooms. There's so many different species of them. I kind of concentrate on like 10 of them. But I literally made a chart because I couldn't even keep track with how much research there is about these mushrooms and what they do. So chaga, for instance, has a compound that binds to the CB2 receptor. Same with turkey tail. Have you heard of PSP or PSK? They're polysaccharides in turkey tail that are actually used as cancer drugs in Japan. So they have these incredible compounds, all mix of them, but you have to get it from the fruiting body and you have to extract it correctly. If you thought CBD products were hard, mushroom products are even worse. And the reason they're worse is, has anybody seen the movie Fantastic Fungi?
I bought it, but I haven't watched it.
Everyone needs to watch that movie, Fantastic Fungi. It's on Netflix. It's amazing. You'll love it. It's a documentary about mushrooms. And you're going to learn about a man called Paul Stamets, who's like a hero in the mushroom world. He's wonderful because he's gone out, he loves them, he worships them, he's discovered new breeds. But what happened is he became famous for that. And so somebody greedy came up and said, hey, Paul, you should have your own line of mushroom supplements. That's a great idea. Paul doesn't know how to make mushroom supplements. So he put his name on them, and they make them wrong. So everybody copied what he did and makes them wrong. So although he is wonderful, he does not make a wonderful product. And this is what happens. I love to ask this question, because this is what I do for myself when I learn these things. Would you rather buy a mushroom product that is growing on the wood or the rotting material that it's supposed to, out in the woods like it's supposed to? Or would you rather have a mushroom where they put the spores on oats or grain or rice, put it in a bag, put it in a damp basement, cut some holes in it, and then a little primordia pops its head out with the start of the mushroom? They take that whole thing, grind it up, put it in your capsule or your powder. That's what I would say 95% of the products are. The ones that aren't that are made by real mushrooms. Namex, who provides other companies. So Dogs Naturally's 4-leaf rovers products are all real mushrooms products. Real mushrooms is good. So if you're using or taking real mushrooms, they're fabulous. How they're different from my tonics is that mine are liquid, a little bit more medicinal. Think of them a little bit more functional in food, the powders that were in there. But the way it's supposed to happen is they're supposed to be growing, chaga for instance. Chaga doesn't have those medicinal properties that it says that it, all these wonderful things that it does, unless it's grown on the birch tree. If it's grown anywhere else, it's not going to have that compound. So that's why it's so important how they're grown and where they're grown. So ours are grown where there's on what they're supposed to, in the woods where they're supposed to. For instance, if mushrooms don't get access to sunlight, they don't have vitamin D. And mushrooms are an incredible source of vitamin D, of selenium, minerals, of antioxidants. Chaga has more antioxidants than anything else on earth. So, the way it's supposed to be done is once that mushroom pops in the beautiful mushrooms that we all know, the little fruiting body part, you take that part where all the medicinal properties live, just like the hemp flower, and extract them out of that. And it has to be done sometimes more than once with hot water, and some mushrooms like turkey tail and chaga and reishi need to go through an alcohol extraction because those medicinal properties are so protected in the chitin shell that's over it. So you can't get to them. It's a long process, it's an amazing process, and if it's done right, you will see and feel the results. If any of you want to feel what mushrooms feel like, take my Clarity Tonic. Is anyone putting mushroom powders in their coffee now? What brand?
Real mushrooms.
Okay, you're good.
And on the shelf out there.
You, real mushrooms? What brand? Ohm is the crap. Rise is the crap. Mud water is the crap. Actually, I think mud water actually lets the whole mushroom grow, but they do not separate it. They take that whole substrate. Also, if they're growing on oats, that's how they're getting their beta-glucan content. It's the wrong beta-glucans. It's a lot different. The beta-glucans you get from mushrooms are not the same as the ones you get from oats. You want the mushroom kind, trust me. You also don't want the glyphosate from those oats. So, I don't know if you all have this. Do you have this at your store, my magazine? We'll get you some.
I think we got
They're
it.
already sent. They're
Okay,
on their
good.
way. Carter
Good.
sent them.
I literally made a chart because I could not keep track. I'd find a piece of research on something, track it, write it. So there's a magazine she'll have at her store where you guys can get this, so you can literally go, my dog needs help with that. Oh, this is the mushroom. How do I get this mushroom into my dog? This is what I just explained. So this is kind of like what it looks like after the spores have taken over the rice or grain or substrate, and that's what we want. That's what we need to extract from, not from that. This is an amazing piece of research that shows don't ever just take one, because they're much more synergistic. Take several adaptogens together. Because I also just showed you that they interact with all 12 cancer pathways. So always do a couple mushrooms together, which is why my tonics combine several, and adaptogens or hemp with it so that it can become more synergistic. Because this basically shows you shiitake by itself, pretty damn good. Reishi, all right, good. Maitake, awesome. Put them all together, awesome. Synergy. So what would you do? How much time do I have?
As much as you want.
Yep. I'm retired, so it doesn't matter.
People will start walking out when they're ready.
Okay, good. Yeah, I won't be offended. There's a back door. I just want to show you really quick what I did with my dogs. I'm almost done, I promise. This is Nina. I've told you most of her story. This is her x-ray showing her awful osteosarcoma. This is actually a tumor that formed because fluid was being blocked from going into her paw, formed into there, and that's when I decided she was getting uncomfortable and I needed to amputate the leg. I knew that was coming because I had been warned and told by PJ, but it was good that we got to this point because she was living her life. And this is what we did. We did 80 milligrams of full spectrum hemp extract, which is my one dose, is it one, Carter?
1.5.
1.5 dropperfuls of the Horse Ease, which is also what I take for my rheumatoid arthritis. It has got 6,000 milligrams of full spectrum hemp extract versus our extra strength, which is 1,100, or our Dog Ease, which is 550. Why? Because we don't have as many receptors, so we need more medicine. So does our horses. So because she had a very aggressive cancer, I wanted to give her a lot. Ease also has 2 other adaptogens in it, turmeric and frankincense. All these amazing, this is what happened to me, is every time I'd find something out about a frankincense, I'd be like, damn, this is the coolest herb ever. Oh, it's an adaptogen. They're always adaptogens that do these amazing things. Also, actually put Remedy on the actual tumor every night, and I gave her, if you look down here, it's a little vial from my medical marijuana dispensary in Florida, and that's the 10 milligrams of THC that I would give her every night. And then I would give her Heal with it to dampen the side effects. And that's how I got her to 850 days and a ketogenic diet. She ate Answers until they became a terrible company. And then we did like a combo of Bones & Co. and small batch back in the day. Cooling vegetables, turkey, pork, lots of rabbit. And this was her long x-ray at 22 months, completely clear. Diagnosis so that I could prove to everyone who didn't believe that my dog was alive at 22 months with osteosarcoma with no spread. And this is Daisy. This was one of my first cancer cases. She was before Nina. She got me, I was ready for Nina. Nina literally, you know, you get the breed and then you look at what the breed could be more prone to. So I knew. And the moment she started limping, I immediately started, before I even knew it was osteosarcoma, I started immediately upping everything. Daisy, this is a mast cell. She was 14 when she came to my rescue. She lame, almost like on one side completely dragging, and she had this nasty MCT attached to her spine. And we got rid of this in 60 days by doing the remedy on the tumor and the heel and the mouth. And I don't know if you've ever seen an MCT tumor explode before, but it's pretty disgusting. It oozed and bled, it got bigger, it got black, and then it completely disintegrated and went away. And within 60 days, hair started popping out and growing back. So we couldn't even see where it was. Her lameness was so great that we'd literally be walking around the house going, where the hell is Daisy? And she's out with the pack, standing in the lake, just playing with everybody. Just standing there watching everything that's going on. It's awesome. Potato, another one, got her at 14. She taught me about Cushing's disease. Actually, we had another one that taught us about Cushing's disease, but you know, imagine people are calling me going, does it work for Cushing's disease? I'm like, I don't know what Cushing's disease is. So I Google it and I see Cushing's disease is a tumor on the adrenal. So we had a customer who was treating her dog for something else and said, my dog's not getting up at night anymore to ask for water or go pee. Could it be helping her Cushing's? Yep, because it's probably shrinking that tumor. I got to experience this with Potato. We named her Potato because she had the little warts all over her that happens in Cushing's. We got rid of all of those. They would it would look like someone took a lighter to them. They would turn black, like they looked like they were being burned, and dry up and fall off. It was amazing. So these dogs extended their life, put their disease in remission. So these dogs went from death's door to living their best life. What's awesome now is now we're 5-6 years old, so now we have thousands and thousands of people using the product. We have people getting rid of their dog's melanoma. That's cool. And that's why I made this medicine. When I have my 3 tinctures and my 3 salves at my rescue farm and something goes wrong, I have everything I need to immediately get rid of stress and pain. And then I can figure out what the hell to do. Dog gets a chicken. I get some, the chicken gets some, and then I assess what the hell I need to do next, kind of thing. I love having that comfort because I don't know about you. You guys are real lucky that you've got some good, amazing vets around here. A lot of them. It's one of my favorite places to visit because there's so many. Where I live, no. Everybody, if it says integrative or holistic, it's a marketing term. There ain't nothing going on holistic inside. So dosing, I'm sure a lot of you want that answer. Dosing depends on the animal. After 3 months when I discovered, okay, that's her dose. After 3 months, I was like, let me take it back 5 milligrams. She'd have a seizure. So that was Daise's dose, 100 milligrams every single day. I split it between 3 different doses so I could keep it evenly in her system, and she no longer had seizures. But you have to put it on the gums because it's oil. Our product has been emulsified, so the moment it hits the gums, it enters the bloodstream. So you're bypassing most of the digestion, it's in there and immediately effective. Putting it on their food, you're probably only getting 35 to 50% of the medicine. Now, if I had a dog with a gut issue or gut cancer, I'd probably let them eat it too, but you want to get it on the gums. Each of our products, 1 dose is what was found in research to work, but that doesn't mean that's going to be your dog's dose. You might have a sensitive dog. You might have a dog who needs a lot more. Odie, my 9-pound Schnauzer, and Nina, my 60-pound Doberman, Odie needed 2 dropperfuls of calm to calm down during a thunderstorm or fireworks. Nina needed a 1/4 of a dropper. Nina would come and sit next to me and ask for it. Odie would hide and wrestle and make my life miserable trying to get it into him, and he did it all the way to the end of his life. But every dog's a little bit different, but you just have to find their dose. Good thing is you can't cause any harm by giving them too much. You can literally pour the whole bottle down their throat. They're going to get a little high. They're going to probably have some diarrhea from the oil. They're going to sleep real good, but no damage has been done. 1973, They wanted to see how much THC would it take to kill a person. They decided to do this piece of research on lab rats, beagles, and chimpanzees. They gave them 9,000 milligrams of THC. That's insane. Nobody died. No beagles died, no chimpanzees died. 2 rats died. They regurgitated, threw up in their sleep, and choked on their vomit and died. No beagles or chimpanzees. Chimpanzees actually, within a short period of time, metabolized it and brought themselves back to complete normal. So, if someone, a vet, or anybody tells you THC will kill an animal or is toxic to dogs, they have no idea what they're talking about. A THC isolate? Who the hell knows? I'm not talking about that. Yes?
What about for cats?
Same. This is, if it's a natural product, it's interacting with the endocannabinoid system, it's going to take what it needs and get rid of the rest. So, on the gums. Cats, sometimes hard to get it inside their mouth. Good thing about cats is their paws are super absorbent, so you can put it in their paws. You can also put it on them and let them lick it off. Dogs, if you have a dog like Daisy, the Chihuahua, would not let me put it in her mouth. Well, guess what? Old dogs sleep a lot, so I would just wait for her to sleep, and I'd just slip it in and squirt it and be done. And I did. I was able to prevent it. So do your best to work with those difficult dogs because it does help them so much. So these are just some tips on choosing a product. You always want to make sure both mushrooms and hemp are bioaccumulators. They suck everything out of the earth and air, so you want to make sure they are grown organically. If they're grown under, hemp is grown under the U.S. Farm Bill, it is grown organically. It's one of the reasons, one of the ways that you have to do it. There's no other way to grow it. So that's kind of cool. You also want to make sure that they're harvesting it at the same time, that there's good manufacturing processes, that they are emulsifying it so that when you do put it in your mouth or your pet's mouth, that it's being absorbed. So all those things are very important when choosing a product. So you could even have a full spectrum hemp extract, but they didn't know how to make it. So you could take it and it's not going to be as effective as another one which was emulsified so that it does get absorbed. It's more bioavailable. It's the same thing with food. How do we make these foods more bioavailable? We don't overprocess them. We don't cook them. Make sure there's no other ingredients, like how I started, xylitol, flavoring. Just say no to these things. There should be no ingredients. Just should be what is needed, not anything else. And there are natural preservatives, vitamin E, organic glycerin is what we use in our mushroom extracts. It gives a sweet taste. Dogs freaking love it. There should be nothing else on there. Always make sure in hemp it's a full spectrum hemp extract. And most importantly, make sure you have a COA or a certificate of analysis. And what that is a third-party laboratory takes your product and tests it and gives you the results. And what those results are going to show you is that you are using a full spectrum product or a broad spectrum product or an isolate. If that COA says 99% CBD, it's an isolate. If that COA doesn't show that the products, these are hard to read, but these are like all the cannabinoids listed. When THC, Delta 9 THC is listed, you're going to want to see a little blip on there. That makes it a full spectrum product. It says no THC, broad spectrum, stay away from it. They're now calling things, because now full spectrum has become a marketing term, so now they're saying things like full spectrum with no THC. That's a broad spectrum product. That's the definition of a broad spectrum product. Our products have a QR code on them. You scan it with your phone. The bottom of the bottle has a batch number carved into it. You can literally look at that COA of that product. That COA is not only going to show you what's in the bottle, it's also going to show you what's not in the bottle. Pesticides, herbicides, heavy metals. So that's how you're going to know it's an organic product, that it's not going to have any of those things in it. I wanted to share this with you really quick. This is a patent owned by the United States government for cannabinoids as antioxidants and neuroprotectants. How about that shit? This is also a fun little video I wanted to share with you. This is a piece of research someone did that every time a state becomes legal for medical marijuana, Big Pharma loses 1.5 to 2% revenues. That's billions of dollars. This is why it's being kept from you and your pets. Thank you very much. I'm Angela Ardolino. Just say no to drugs and yes to plants and fungi. All right,
I have a question.
yes.
So, I have my one dog on heel.
Great,
I broke seizures with it.
great, awesome.
Immediately, every time. So,
So, and
if it-
what,
what
and
I
if your
didn't
dog
know-
is experiencing a seizure,
And it's from
Give it to
glyphosate, from a farm field.
wow.
Yeah, so we live on a farm field. So if his boot falls off and he walks on the earth, he'll have a seizure.
Wow,
It's that powerful. And so I keep it with me usually.
awesome. I've stopped several seizures in my groom shop, on the streets of downtown Tampa, seeing a
Right.
dog and just run over and literally can stop it.
Well, my question is, you mentioned seizures when you first started talking, so my question is, you said you used adaptogens and synergistically with it, that you were using for grand mal, so I'm kind of curious what that was. And if you are, like, I don't put them on it every day, so if you're putting them on this every day for seizures, then would you give them time off so that the body doesn't get too used to it?
No, you don't have to worry about that with hemp.
Okay.
So I would think that if you were giving it to them every single day, that they would probably be less aggressive, or he may not even experience them all, or they may be, a very like just this instead of a full-on seizure because he's already got it into his system. But always have it on hand
So
so
the
that you
body
can stop
stores-
it.
The body stores it, is what you're
It
saying?
does, but it's like out of their system. How long does it take, Carter?
It's about a 9-hour half-life for 90% of it. And then
So-
from there,
So with Daisy, it was, I always wanted one level and 100 milligrams basically throughout the day, so split into 3 different doses so that she had the same level in her bloodstream at all times.
Okay.
And that's what prevented her from having her seizure. You have figured out what's causing the seizures. So also in detoxing the liver, are you detoxing the liver just to help support that?
I have him on some different supplements that I've been using.
Milk thistle?
Heard
Heard of milk thistle?
He's on milk
It's
thistle.
an adaptogen,
Yeah,
so
and
it's my favorite.
He's on the MCT and he's on curcumin.
Awesome. All adaptogens, so wonderful.
Yeah.
Good work.
Oh, thank you. So, then I can just put him on there and leave him on there permanently? Is what you're
Absolutely.
saying?
How old is he?
He's gonna be 6 in October.
Good. So he's almost getting into senior years. I think it's a good time to give him it every single day and then always keep it in hand in case one happens.
Okay, thanks.
You bet. Any other questions? Oh, that was easy. I must have done a really good job explaining it. All right, well, cool. Well, thank you guys. I really appreciate you coming. I would love to get a picture with everybody if you don't mind. I love to capture these moments.
So when you said you did the ketogenic diet,
Mhm.
you were doing Answers and Bones & Co. and Small Bad.
Yep.
But were you taking it as far as like the 4-to-1 keto? Or were you just keeping it
Yeah,
at the
actually,
1-to-1?
Bones and Co's makes a ketogenic
Yeah,
diet.
they
so
have the
it
2-to-1
made
now.
it really easy for me to just switch over to theirs. But yeah, it was a pure ketogenic diet that we
Okay,
gave.
'Cause I just remember when the cancer series came out,
Right.
they took it all the way down to a 4-to-1.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's literally what it was. So much, basically broccoli and rabbit and a lot of herbs and hemp. Ton of it.
I got 2 questions.
Yes.
One is a client that's in this room, so I don't know if she wanted me to ask it, but I'm gonna ask it anyway.
Okay.
She has a dog that is extremely anxious, was on your product, was giving a boatload, and it still wasn't doing anything.
Wow. So I would add some calming adaptogens and see if we can make that happen. I've never had that happen.
Okay.
I've gone up to 3, this is why Extra Strength now exists, because, so I own 2 groom shops. One of them I opened during COVID. Everybody got 2 dogs, not 1, and then never took them out and socialized them, much less got them groomed. So our groom shops for 2 years were filled with scared, aggressive, angry dogs. So all I did was walk around and go, All right. That one's calmed down, but he hasn't shut barking up. This one's aggressive, and literally we just dosed him. So extra strength was born out of the dogs with extreme anxiety. If the extra strength is still not working, I would do an extra strength, and then I would add some other calming herbs, ashwagandha, maybe the clarity would be a good one.
Right now it's
Some
on
valerian.
ashwagandha and L-theanine.
Yeah, how's that working?
Better.
Good. So maybe do that on a daily basis, maybe even add the calm to it on a regular basis, and then in situations where there's a lot, do another dose. That's what I would do anytime, just like I said with Odie, even though I found THC was the answer, I didn't want him to be knocked out all the time. So I just changed up the adaptogens until I could see, all right, I'm not having that, that reflex anymore, that impulse anymore, and he's awake and happy, and he's eating, and he can go pee, and he can do all the things. So just think of, all right, let's try another adaptogen that's
Okay.
That's my dog. And it's a crazy Daisy. That's what she is. She's crazy as far as anxiety goes. And it has been working. It worked for 4th of July really well, what we've been doing.
Oh, good.
And I've been bringing her weekly for acupuncture.
Good, that
so
helps.
hitting, those points too. But
And what are you feeding?
bones and co she has.
Okay, good.
So
And which
How much
protein?
CBD were you giving?
like 10 dropperfuls a day.
Orally or in her food?
No, orally. And like just seeing nothing.
So until we added the ashwagandha, L-theanine, and acupuncture.
And I still have the problem of her car anxiety.
So now let's add the CBD.
Wow.
Yeah, let's try that on the car ride, because they're all interacting synergistically. I also would love for you to add the clarity,
Yeah.
just for the heck of it. It's got ashwagandha in it too, but it has bacopa maniri in it, which is really good. Maybe that'll do it. I would just keep on mixing them up until.
Yeah, she's on the L-theanine and she's on the Shen Palmer also.
Good.
But like I said, this was the first 4th of July that I got through. She slept right through the fireworks.
Awesome.
No problem. So
Awesome.
if I could get her okay with
Without coming to see me every week?
yeah, like you just come to my house, like it would be great. That and when she goes to get groomed, because it's car ride type thing again.
Right.
So
Yeah, I would do. I mean, I don't know what to say, because I've never met someone that it didn't work on, but I'm glad that you found the combination. But that's all I would do, is keep on doing a combination of calming herbs.
well, that's what I wonder too, is because I didn't try the extra strength. Like, is there something different in the extra strength that would maybe work for her?
It's just less. Instead of doing 3 droppers, you can do 1 dropper full. So it is for people like you, but it should work. And if it doesn't, add more herbs. I can't think of what else could be triggering it. You're feeding the right thing, you're doing everything right. I'm hoping over time that it'll kind of fade.
The mom needs some.
All human grade products, take some for yourself. What I found, my horse calm, this is before I had extra strength calm, but what I found with calm is that, when you do that wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and you're thinking thoughts or whatever, I'd take horse calm before I go to bed. I'd wake up at 3 in the morning, but then I would just go back to sleep. So it's pretty cool how it works. So yeah, absolutely try it for yourself. It'll be great. Yes,
Okay, I have a new dog,
yes.
and he's a rescue. I really don't know too much about what happened to him before I got him, other than he came from a kill shelter in Kentucky, was probably very abused, very possibly out on his own surviving before he was taken in. Then a local shelter here grabbed him, and I got him about 2 weeks later. First time I brought him in to see Dr. Dan, he could do, after a little time, he could do an adjustment. Now, Dr. Dan can't touch him. He's very sensitive. I've had a Reiki session. He's carrying a lot of emotional pain. I don't have him on any CBD oils yet because I was waiting for tonight.
Oh. And does he seem filled with anxiety?
Oh yes, absolutely, and
Let's give
he
him
will
calm every day.
he
So
will.
remember, calm can be, I've got a generally anxious dog. you know,
Well,
to
and-
work through. He's new. I got to get through a situation. I need to get through grooming, or it could just be situational. So you're
Right.
doing it right before the stressful situation.
And I think he's probably got a lot of fear still.
Yeah.
He has growled at me several times.
Wow.
He's growled at people that come in.
So he's scared.
So he's scared, and I'm, you know, and he needs a lot of training. And
That's what I love about Calm, is using it with training, because you understand. I loved watching Odie, my little schnauzer, take the Calm, feel calm, but fight it. Like, I can still hear the thunder. Why do I feel calm? Like, I literally could see him being like, stopped.
Yeah.
And then he would just go, I'm just going to go to bed. And Nina would take it and go lay down.
so he's not bothered by noises, the thunder,
Right.
the
You
lightning.
just have to. He just needs to become comfortable in his new home, which takes what is the statistics? Like 3 to 6 months.
or something.
Right.
Yeah, I've had him for
So.
like 6 weeks now.
Right. Sometimes longer. Oh, I know. I've got one that was rescued from Bosnia,
Oh my goodness.
and then they had a baby and decided she was too crazy to be around the baby. Awesome. Still crazy to this day. Still food aggressive, still needs to be fed in her crate, but other than that, everything else. She used to be like you would talk to her and she'd pee, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and I know when
not
I
anymore.
first started with him, he had a toy, and if I would say, "Oh, what are you playing with, Dakota?" he would drop it immediately. And now he's running through the house, throwing it up in the air and making it squeak and having a good time.
Good. So you're already making progress.
Well, and I had dog behaviorist trainer at the house on Saturday, and she said, yes, he is very attached to me already.
Good.
So we've made a connection.
Good.
But he's...
Add some calm. Make it even easier on him. Honestly, it really will.
I have a
And
few
it's-
bottles here. And make sure you got
We'll
Halo.
both get some.
All right, cool. Well, thank you, everybody, for coming. If you think of a question after, my email is my name, Angela at CBD Dog Health. Carter, all our staff is trained, knows everything. If they don't, they'll email me or text me. We've got a great group on Facebook, CBD Dog and Holistic Health, if you want to join that. It's great. We have a whole bunch of people who have already had experiences, and then we're always on it. I also have a podcast, Your Natural Dog, if you want to listen to me more talk about awesome natural things. But thank you so much. But can I get a picture with all you guys? You guys stand up and I'll go this way.
There you go, perfect. All right, everybody smile.
All right.
Thank you.
So the first one is Sue Falcone. Woohoo! Which, you know, it says you came first. Would you like a salve, a tincture, or mushroom?
Oh my goodness.
What do you recommend?
What's your dog?
She's a Frenchie, and she just had IVHD or IVDH.
I would
and so
do the heel.
Heel?
Okay.
All right.
I don't know what all those letters are.
All right.
That's why Frenchie's on my logo. I have more Frenchies.
I do have a question for you.
Okay, good. But I kept meeting 2-year-old Frenchies with suffering from things that old geriatric dogs should be suffering from.
Mine's not even 2 yet.
Yeah.
Yet. I know what this one wants.
Well, who is it?
Yeah, who is it?
Oh,
What do I get to pick? I didn't pay
A
attention.
salve or a mushroom?
A mushroom.
Clarity.
Yay!
That's why I said I knew what you wanted. All right. All right, and Deb Schroeder. Oh, I know what Deb is getting.
Remedy.
Deb's getting some remedy for the arthritis.
Perfect.
Perfect.
that worked out well.
It did. It worked out very well. The right people got the right things.
Awesome. Thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it. Thank you for filling out the survey. I plan on having a lot more of these in the future, so.
And I do have all of the products, you can buy them tonight if you want to.
I need it.